What's up everybody, Mannun here once again. So I thought I'd do another short about a little subject that has gathered a rise in attention as of lately. Many times in a lot of my videos I talk about balance, and it has come to my attention that this has been a confusing and controversial subject for some of you. For some reason, some of you believe that because I speak of balance and always preach how you can't be all good all the time, nor all bad all the time, or all dark all the time, nor all light all the time, that I'm for some reason a dark-natured person and have no idea what I'm talking about. So I thought I would clear up my beliefs and perceptions on balance and why I think it's extremely important within spiritual views. And may I add, there are many systems of spirituality that embrace balance as a core tenet of the spiritual system. For example, the Kabbalah, which is one such subject that I have spoken of recently that drew this attention. For instance, in Kabbalah, they have the pillars, which are the left, right, and the middle. The right pillar being of the yang and masculine and positive, and the left pillar being that of yin and feminine and the negative. Now, along with this left and right pillar, there is as well the middle pillar, which is the balance between the two. Hence, there is a strong focus on the middle pillar, and a lot of texts and teachings within the Kabbalah to teach this balance. So, what is balance? In this discussion, balance is a condition in which different elements are equal or in the correct proportions. For instance, to try to keep a balance between work and relaxation. One of the things I have always preached in many of my videos is the importance of balance in our lives, especially as a magical peoples and as spiritual peoples. Being at peace in our lives is truly what most of us seek, and many of us don't even realize it, as many people know they are seeking something, some kind of relief, and for something that will bring a feeling of completeness, but they just don't know what it is or how to achieve it. For many, they believe that it's money, fortune, or fame because they feel in this material world that if they could have whatever they want, that would make them happy and at peace and, therefore fulfilled. Unfortunately, this is not the answer. As we all know, there are plenty of people out there that have riches, fame, and fortune, and unfortunately, this was not the answer for them. Once they realized it, they turned to alcohol and or drugs and ultimately self-destruction and possibly suicide. The scenario goes something like this. An individual is not happy or feels incomplete, so they immediately turn to the material world, most often pointing straight towards money. Again, they feel if they have all the money they can handle, they can have whatever they want in life, and again, therefore pointing towards the material, bringing them their happiness, comfort, and peace of mind. Unfortunately, it doesn't take long, and they realize that this is not the case. They're working and accumulating what they thought was going to bring them peace, and in the end, no matter how much they have, and no matter how much they buy, no matter how much they obtained, they begin to realize peace is not coming. So now they're at a loss, and they just know they seek to be at peace, and they want to feel better than they normally do. They go into a sort of depression. So again, even your rich and famous who can buy whatever they want can still fall victim to the pain body. This is why thrill seekers, those people who do extreme things like skydiving or cliff diving or anything that is life-threatening or very extreme, do what they do. Because in those few moments of their extreme activity, they are of no mind. This means that every last ounce of their attention and focus is fine-tuned and super focused on that very moment. They are not thinking of the past nor the future. They are in the very moment that they are literally living right now and only right now. No worries or fears or anger or jealousy or any of these feelings, because all of those feelings have to do with the past and with the future. These feelings do not exist in the very present, the now. So when these extreme activities performed by these thrill seekers are in the process, it is their temporary high because they are achieving this amazing feeling and adrenaline rush as well in those few moments that exist until the activity is complete. Therefore, this feeling becomes addictive and these people become addicted to thrill seeking. The concept is just about the same, which is searching for a high that takes you out of your negativities by bringing you into a moment of no mind. Now imagine if you could experience this no mind all the time, or at least the majority of the time, instead of fleeting or temporary moments. This would bring an inner peace, a balance. So what is no mind? No mind is simply being fully present in the very now, not dwelling with the angers, sadness, or whatever negativities of the past, and not dwelling in the worries, anxieties, and unknowns of the future. It's simply living your life in the moment that you're in here and now. Now, there's a lot more to it than this. I'm just trying to simplify it. For instance, I'm not trying to say that you should never feel sorrow or sadness. Of course you should feel these things. It's human. From time to time, you should feel hurt, but you should never suffer from these same energies. There's a huge difference from being sad that you lost someone, for instance, and suffering for a loss over long periods of time. It is healthy to experience some negativities sometimes, but not to be fully engaged with those negativities all the time, because this in turn is called suffering. There's no need for suffering in our life. It's a waste of energy and a waste of time. Unfortunately, more of us suffer in life than those who don't. This is from the conditioning that many of us have received throughout our lives, and unfortunately it's an epidemic, if not a pandemic. So when I talk about balance, I'm literally saying that we need to embrace both sides of the picture in order to achieve peace of mind, or no mind more often, so to speak. Now, this is not something that occurs overnight. For many, this is a lifetime or many lifetimes practice. Trying to gain control of the pain body is not an easy accomplishment. And again, it's not about getting rid of the pain body or destroying it. It's simply about being in more control of the pain body. The pain body is simply that piece of us that everyone has that is always searching for attention and wanting our attention by bringing negativity into our life. We need negativity in our lives from time to time. Suppressing thoughts means we cannot accurately evaluate life's experiences. If we don't allow ourselves the lows, then the satisfaction from the highs becomes lessened. Also, negative emotions are likely to be important to our survival. The negativity associated with a health issue or a relationship or work makes it clear to us that there's a problem. It alerts us to the things that need attention and that we need to change. The act of suppressing thoughts and feelings can be bad for our physical health and cause stress. Those who suppress emotions experience greater stress when confronted with the topic, causing their negative thoughts. Just like positive things are necessary to achieve balance as well. The trick is to embrace the positive and the negative as they come, but realize that both of these things are fleeting within our lives. Neither one is going to stick around for too long, and that's good because that's how we produce the sum of what would be balance and peace. So how can you put this into practice? Let's pretend you're driving down the highway and somebody cut you off. It normally angers you very much, like most of us. Recognize that you're pissed off. Literally say to yourself, okay, now you did it, now I'm pissed. Visualize that imp-like pain body tugging at you, pulling at you, maybe even pulling your hair, grinding on your nerves. It's smiling big at you and it's saying, yeah, get mad, feed me, make me stronger. At this point, you recognize the pain body and you simply say, nope. You've gotten your attention, but I'm not going to let you take over and escalate this negativity. There's no reason for my anger at this moment to escalate throughout the day, ruining my whole day. Envision a wave coming in and gently de-escalating the fire of the pain body. This now, in essence, is balancing back out all of that negative energy to a more manageable, tolerable situation. This anger does nothing for you because you're angry about something that has happened in the past. There's nothing you can do about it now. It's already happened, so why let that negative feeling keep eating at you, causing you to suffer? It's all in your mind. It can be changed at any time, very simply. You just don't have to feed the pain body any longer. The pain body is like that little child that yanks at your pant leg, demanding attention while you're trying to have a conversation with another person. It wants your attention. It wants you to feed it with your attention. Why does it want these things? Because it wants to be strong and dominate. Just like you would not starve a small child, though, you should not let the pain body die either, because again, it's necessary in order for you to achieve balance and to remain healthy. So what you would do is kind of step outside yourself in the moment of being extremely angry and realize and remember that this is just the pain body begging for attention and wanting you to acknowledge it and feed it. You've already fed and given the attention to the pain body. That is why you're angry, and that's why this arose in the first place. But the pain body wants more. It wants to be dominant. It wants to be much stronger than the lighter self, the true self, so to speak. So at that moment, you step outside and you say to the pain body, I acknowledge you and I know that you're there, but it's time for you to relinquish your energy and balance out with the lighter self, which, keep in mind, the lighter self goes by many names by many different systems. Some call it the true self, some the lighter self, some the self with a capital S, some call it the holy guardian angel. It just depends on your system. Also, the pain body, sometimes you'll hear it called the ego self, the child self, or the shadow self. But regardless, you acknowledge that pain body and you balance it back out. Balancing it out is simply acknowledging and accepting it and moving on. Like when a wave comes crashing in and then flows back out to sea. It is what it is. This is the core of what many people call shadow work. And for those of you who don't like using words that they consider dark words like shadow, I'm sorry, but words are just labels. And if you're putting that much turmoil into a simple word like shadow, well, again, balance, my friend. I'll sum up my brief essay on balance with a story that I learned a long time ago that I'll never forget, and that very much helps explain my stance on balance in my spiritual path. This story embraces the phrase, "this too shall pass." It's easy to find comfort and reassurance in the phrase, "this too shall pass," when you're going through times of distress, hardships, and trouble. The real lesson, however, lies in remembering these 4 words also during the good and happy times, to carry this advice forward as a very important reminder to value life and to live life to its fullest. Appreciate what you have because time is short, but also learn from what we have. Things change every day, and yes, this too shall pass. The story is about a king who sought wisdom. He searched all over his kingdom for wisdom and did not find it. Eventually, he heard of a man living in a remote part of the kingdom who had a reputation for great wisdom. The king sent for this man and had him brought to court, whereupon the king offered the man a great reward if he would share the secret to his wisdom. The man agreed and departed from the king's presence. He returned several weeks later and presented the king with a small box. The king looked a little surprised and very disappointed as he opened the box and removed a ring. "Is this it?" he shouted at the wise man. "Place the ring on your finger and read the inscription out loud," replied the wise man. The king read the inscription, "This too shall pass." The wise man counseled the king, "Wear that ring, that at all times, and look at it frequently, and regardless of whether you're experiencing good fortune or adversity, remind yourself that this too shall pass." Again, the real lesson lies in remembering these 4 words, also during the good and happy times, to carry this advice forward as a very important reminder to value life and live it to its fullest. Appreciate what you have because time is short, but also learn from what we have. So I hope this helped explain a little bit better what I mean when I'm talking about balance. Again, I get challenged quite a bit about this, usually by people who just don't believe that there has to be any kind of negativity in life, that everything can be love and light all the time. It just doesn't work that way. And again, there's a lot of spiritual systems out there that express that. It's not just something I'm pulling out of my ass. But anyway, thank you for watching.